The Souls-like genre is still spreading. Ever since the Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets PS2 game invented the genre, and Demon's Souls popularised it, this weird RPG subgenre has grown and grown and grown. The increased amount of RPGs with this same structure of hard difficulty, with checkpoints to respawn all enemies in the area and limited healing items, actually starting to get strange. From Software's unique style of design is being copied by basically everyone at this point, and it's led to this peculiar situation that we are in. If a game isn't a multiplayer shooter, it's usually a Souls-like, or taking elements of a Souls-like in ways you may not notice. The Souls-like is being forced into places where it really doesn't belong. I like to call it the Dark Souls-ification of gaming. A few years ago we had the Star Wars Souls-like in Jedi Fallen Order and Survivor. They also pitched a bunch of elements from other popular games, like Uncharted, but they're old news now anyway. Now we stand here, in a new age. An age of bringing the Souls-like into completely random places you'd never expect. Like Lies of P, a game which is very loosely based on Pinocchio. As in, there's puppets that come to life, and there's a character called Geppetto. I think that's literally the only connection to the original story. I mean, if the original story was anything like this, why was Disney messing around in that film? Personally, I reckon watching Pinocchio have sword fights with massive robots would be a much better film than just watching him get drunk on the island with his boys. Other than that, it's basically just Bloodborne. We have to parry to get health back this time. Somehow, they made the book about teaching kids that lying is bad into what is basically just a Bloodborne fan game. Then, there's another Crab's Treasure, or as some people have just been calling it, Crab Souls. It is really just a Souls-like, whereas instead of some old decrepit castle, you're just a bunch of crabs in the sea, with other sea creatures. This Souls-like is really different to the rest of them. Most of them are always dark and moody in a fantasy or sci-fi setting, whereas this is a happy, colourful, goofy game. You only ever talk to other fish and sea creatures who will use fish-flavoured swear words instead of actually saying anything bad. It even has a cute little environmental message, constantly reminding you how badly polluted the oceans are, with little touches like your crab using discarded drinks cans as shells, which is like instead of a shield in a normal Souls game. Another recent Souls-like series that has completely upended the whole formula of the subgenre is Remnant from the Ashes, sequel Remnant 2. Usually fighting these games, poking things with a sword, a knife, or a plastic fork in Crab Souls' case, whereas Remnant just gives you some fat guns. And this isn't Bloodborne, where you get a gun with like 20 bullets for the whole game. This is a full-on third-person shooter. It feels like a massive change to the formula, which it is. Sometimes it's a benefit, where you can just shotgun one-bang enemies that should be at your level, and it feels like it's Doom. But then other times, like in the boss fights, you sometimes just feel like you're plugging away an endless wall of health, with none of that beautiful feedback you get from stabbing someone with something sharp. Despite the massive changes these games brought to this loose genre, they're all considered to be Souls-like RPGs. This brought up the question, to me anyway, what isn't a Souls-like game? Especially with every game taken for inspiration from them. Is Tekken the Dark Souls of fighting games? Is Cyberpunk the Search of Bethesda games? Is Vampire Survivor the Sekiro of reverse bullet hell games? Is Dead Island the Lords of the Fallen of really shitty and boring games? This is the true Dark Souls-ification of gaming. All of gaming amalgamating into what we have now. Everything congealing together into this Dark Souls-esque blob. Every game that isn't Dark Souls wants to be Dark Souls, and every game that's trying to be Dark Souls is just an inferior clone. always missed an element that makes the entire Dark Souls package what it is.